Before I start, here's the practical point of this story, because I wish someone had drilled it into my head earlier. Respect doesn't disappear in one explosion. It leaks out in small, last-minute decisions, jokes that cut a little too clean, and a partner who starts treating you like a background app. The mistake most men make is trying to talk their way back into a role they already lost. In this story, the focus is simple: how to spot the first real boundary crossing, how to respond with calm logistics instead of drama, and how to stop feeding someone free access to your time, attention, and resources when they're clearly testing what they can get away with. No speeches, no begging, just actions that change the rules. I was standing in my kitchen in our suburb outside Denver with one sock in my hand, the other already on, because that's the kind of exciting life you build after years of marriage. Predictable, quiet, paid-off furniture, shared friends, the calendar full of the same names and the same weekend routines. Lauren was at the hallway mirror, earrings in, hair done, makeup finished. She looked like she was ready for a photo. Emotionally, she looked like she was waiting for an Uber. "We should roll in 10, I called, glancing at the counter where the wine bottle sat with the little paper tag still on it. I grabbed it earlier, like a normal husband heading to a couple's thing. Lauren didn't turn around. She adjusted an earring like I was a lamp humming in the corner. "I'm not going," she said. I blinked once. "You're not going?" She finally looked at me, through the mirror, not at me. "It's girls only now." I held the sock like it had suddenly become a legal document. "Girls only. To Mia and Dan's couples party." She shrugged. "Mia needs female space." "Since when?" "Since now." I waited for the part where she smiled and said she was joking. That part never showed up. "So why I just don't go?" I asked. She sighed like I'd asked her to solve taxes. "Just go without me. Or don't. Whatever." It was in the calendar for weeks. We talked about it twice. I made sure my work week was clean so we wouldn't rush. I'd been the guy keeping the rails on. And she dropped this 10 minutes before we left like I was some coworker she didn't feel like dealing with. I kept my voice level. "Did you tell Mia we were coming as a couple?" "No, you didn't even mention it." I didn't want to argue. I let that sit in the air for a second because it was loud on its own. She didn't want to argue with her friend, so she'd rather erase me. "Lauren," I said, "this isn't a random lunch. They invited both of us." She turned and leaned on the hallway table, arms folded. "Why are you making this about you?" I gave her a slow look. "Because I'm literally the us part of US." She rolled her eyes like I'd done a bad stand-up bit. "Mark, you'll survive." She grabbed her clutch. "Don't do that tone." "What tone?" "The one where I notice I'm being benched at the last second." She stepped closer, voice flat. "I don't want to feel obligated. Around you, everything feels like an obligation." That one landed clean. Not because it was clever, because it was calculated. It wasn't about the party. It was about rewriting the whole marriage as a burden, with me as the weight. I nodded once. "So I'm mature now." "Oh my God," she said, dragging it out. "You're exhausting." I slipped the sock on and stood up straight. "If I'm exhausting, you're free to stop using me for the parts you like." Her eyes narrowed, and for the first time that night, I saw something behind the makeup. Not sadness, not guilt, annoyance. Like I wasn't following a script. "I'm leaving," she said. "Where?" I asked. She didn't answer. She opened the front door and walked out without a kiss, without a touch, without even a normal goodbye. Just gone. I stood there in my kitchen with a bottle of wine I suddenly didn't feel like bringing anywhere. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have laughed harder in that hallway mirror. Not because it was funny, because it was the first time she said out loud what she'd been doing for months. I didn't chase her. I didn't call. I didn't send a "can we talk" paragraph. I put the wine back on the counter, grabbed my keys, and decided I wasn't going to be available on demand anymore. I went anyway. Not to be dramatic, to be accurate. Mia and Dan lived 15 minutes away. Nice place, clean driveway, porch light on, the whole were functional adults. Look, I walked up with the wine like I belonged there because I did. I've been part of that friend circle for years. I wasn't a plus one. I was a person. Mia opened the door, smiling, then her face flickered. "Mark, hey, where's Lauren?" I handed her the bottle. She said it turned into girls only. Mia's smile died halfway. "What?" Dan appeared behind her with a beer, eyebrows up. "Girls only? Since when?" I kept my tone polite, almost casual. That's what I was told 10 minutes ago. Mia looked genuinely confused. I never said that. Don's mouth tightened. Yeah, no, that's not a thing. There it was. Not a misunderstanding. Not a scheduling issue. A choice. Mia stiptazide. Come in. Of course come in. I didn't. Not because I was hurt. Because I wasn't going to be the guy standing in their living room while my wife played mystery games somewhere else. I'm not here to make it weird, I said. I just needed to verify reality. Mia blinked. Mark, I'm sorry. I had no idea. It's fine. I cut in, still calm. You didn't do it. Dan leaned on the doorframe. Where is she? I shrugged. You know better than me lately. Mia looked uncomfortable, the way good people look when they realize someone's been using them as cover. I'll text her. You can, I said, but don't start a war for me. Just keep your name out of whatever story she's building. Dan gave a low whistle. Man. I nodded once, backed down the steps, and walked to my truck. No speech. No scene. Just a boundary, in public, on someone else's turf. By the time I got home, the house felt too quiet for a place that was supposed to hold two people. The next morning, Lauren came in like nothing happened. Not cheerful, just neutral, like she'd returned from a dentist appointment. She poured coffee without offering me any. That told me more than words. I leaned against the counter. So, girls only? She didn't look up. I don't want to discuss it. I'm going anyway, I replied. Mia never said that. Her hand paused on the mug. Are you serious? Very. She exhaled through her nose. Why would you go there? Because I'm not living inside your edits, I said. If you're going to erase me, at least don't use our friends as your excuse. She finally looked at me, eyes sharp. You're trying to embarrass me. No, I said. I'm refusing to be embarrassed in private. She set the mug down harder than necessary. This is why I need space. You make everything heavy. Funny, I said. Because you're the one moving like you're single. She scoffed. Oh, here we go. You're going to start policing me. I'm not policing you, I replied. I'm adjusting access. What does that even mean? It means I'm done chasing you around your moods, I said. If you want a marriage, you show up like a partner. If you want to live like you're not married, you can do that too. Just don't expect me to keep playing husband on standby. She stared for a beat, then did that little laugh she'd been using lately. The one that wasn't joy, just dismissal. You sound like an internet coach, she said. I smiled, small and tired. And you sound like someone who thinks sarcasm counts as a plan. She grabbed her phone off the counter like it was oxygen. I'm late. You're always late lately, I said. She walked past me, shoulder brushing mine on purpose. I need people who actually see me, Mark. My friends get me. You just want me to perform wife, so you feel secure. I held my ground. I want a weekend, a conversation, a reset. She waved a hand. A rented bathtub won't fix anything. That's what you reduced it to. It sounds desperate, she said, eyes cold. Like you're trying to buy your way back into my attention. I didn't argue. That was the old me. The guy who would present evidence like a lawyer, hoping she'd see fairness and come back to center. I picked up my keys. Lauren watched me. Where are you going? I slipped my wallet into my pocket. Out. That's not an answer. It's an adult answer, I said. You don't check in. You don't explain. You don't respect plans. I'm matching the format. She frowned. So now you're going to punish me. I paused at the door and looked back. No, I'm going to stop being free. Then I left. No slamming door. No dramatic speed down the driveway. Just a man stepping out of a room where he'd been turned into furniture. 2 days later, I took back my house as territory. Not with threats, with invitations. Ryan's been my friend since before Lauren and I had matching towels. He's the kind of guy who says what he means and doesn't dress it up. His wife, Tara, is sharp and practical, and his younger sister, Emma, was in town visiting, fresh out of a messy breakup of her own. Emma had that quiet confidence some people have. She doesn't fight for attention. She just occupies space like she has a right to breathe. I texted Ryan, "You guys free tonight? Keep it simple." He replied, "We'll bring snacks." And Emma wants to get out of the hotel. Perfect. I cleaned the kitchen, set out plates, put a game on low volume, the normal stuff. Not to impress anyone. To remind myself I still knew how to host a normal evening in my own home. They showed up around 7. Ryan clapped me on the shoulder. You look like you've slept more than 4 hours. Miracle. Don't jinx it, I told him. Tara hugged me. Hey, Mark. You good? I'm functional, I said. That's my current brand. Emma smiled and held up a bag of chips. I come bearing unhealthy peace offerings. Respect, I said. You're already contributing more to this house than my Wi-Fi router. We laughed. Real laughter. The kind that doesn't require permission. We sat, talked about work, Denver traffic, Ryan's endless home projects. Emma told a story about getting lost on a hiking trail and refusing to ask for directions until she was basically negotiating with squirrels. Ryan shook his head. Family trait. Stubborn for no reason. Emma pointed at him. Says the man who tried to fix a sink with a YouTube video and pride. Worked, he insisted. It flooded, Tara corrected. Temporarily, Ryan said. That's when my phone buzzed. Lauren, don't wait for me tonight. No punctuación. No worms. Just a notification like she'd updated software. I stared at the screen a second, then set the phone down, face up on the table. Ryan raised an eyebrow. That look. That's a here we go look. Emma leaned in slightly. Everything okay? I picked up the phone and showed the message. No dramatic reading. Just the facts. Tara's mouth tightened. That's cold. Ryan exhaled. Man, that's not how you talk to your husband. Emma didn't react with pity. She just looked at me like she was waiting to see what I'd do. I picked the phone back up. Emma, being a normal person, snapped a quick group photo earlier while Ryan was mid-rant about his garage. In one of them, it was just me and Emma in the kitchen, both holding snack bags like idiots, smiling like two people who weren't in a hostage negotiation. I turned my phone to Emma. You mind if I use that picture? She blinked. For what? To answer a message, I said. Emma shrugged. Use whatever. It's literally chips and two tired faces. I sent Lauren the photo. Nothing romantic, nothing suggestive, just proof that life continued without her. Then I typed, don't worry. Nobody's waiting. No emojis. No explanation. I hit send and put the phone down. Ryan whistled low. That is clean. Tara nodded once. That's a boundary. Emma sipped her soda. That's what it looks like when a man stops negotiating his dignity. We went back to the conversation. Not forced. Not performative. Just my house, my evening, my choice. 15 minutes later, the front door opened hard. Lauren walked in like a storm, wearing perfume. She stopped in the entryway when she saw the room full of people. Ryan, Tara, Emma, me at my own table like this was normal, which it was. Lauren's eyes snapped to Emma, then to me, then to my phone on the table, like it had personally insulted her. What is this? She demanded. Ryan stood halfway, not aggressive, just alert. Tara stayed seated, but her expression said, try something. I didn't move. Hey, Lauren. She ignored the greeting. You think this is funny? Emma stayed quiet, watching. Smart girl. Lauren stepped closer, voice rising. You sent me a picture. With her. With a friend. I corrected. In my house. You're playing games, she snapped. You're trying to humiliate me. I tilted my head. You told me not to wait. That doesn't mean. It means exactly that. I cut in. Calm. Flat. You made your evening yours. I made mine. Lauren looked around at our guests like she wanted them to disappear by force of will. This is inappropriate. Tara finally spoke, tone even. Lauren, we're just hanging out. Nobody's doing anything. Lauren threw her hands up. Of course you'd say that. Ryan's jaw tightened. Lauren, what's your problem? He hosted friends. That's normal. Lauren pointed at me. He sent that message to get a reaction out of me. I nodded. Yes. The reaction where you realize your words have consequences. Her eyes flashed. So now you're going to entertain whoever shows up because I said I had plans? I leaned back slightly in my chair, still relaxed. I'm going to live like I'm allowed to exist without your approval. Lauren's voice sharpened. Mark, come to the bedroom. Now. I looked at Ryan. You good? Ryan nodded, a grim little smile. We're fine. Handle your business. I stood and followed Lauren down the hall without rushing. No anget sprint. Just walking. In the bedroom, she spun on me. What are you doing? I shut the door halfway, not to trap her, just to lower the volume. I am stopping. Stopping what? Stopping the waiting. The guessing. Please explain your mood routine, I said. I'm not living in a house where I'm treated like a subscription you can pause. She scoffed. So you're going to replace me with random women to make a point. Histoire de here. Listen to yourself. You didn't text, I'm out with friends. You texted, don't wait for me, like I'm staff. Then you walked in here mad because I didn't sit by the window like a loyal dog. She clenched her jaw. You're twisting it. No, that'll be, I'm translating it. Lauren stepped closer. And what now? You're going to keep doing this? Parading people through the house. I'm going to take back my peace, I said. That means I don't chase you. I don't beg you. I don't sit on standby. Her eyes narrowed. So you're punishing me. I shrugged. Call it whatever helps you sleep. She stared at me like she was trying to find the button that used to work. The guilt button. The fear button. The don't leave me button. Nothing. I opened the door and walked back to the living room. Ryan lifted his drink slightly, like a quiet salute. Tara gave me a small nod. Emma's eyes met mine for a second, and she gave the tiniest smile. No flirting, no drama, just recognition. Lauren stayed in the bedroom for a few minutes. When she came out, she didn't speak to anyone. She grabbed something from the kitchen like she needed to prove she belonged there, then disappeared to the other side of the house. We finished the evening without feeding it. After they left, I cleaned up alone. Lauren didn't come out. My phone stayed silent. For once, the silence felt like mine. The next morning, Lauren tried the first soft reset. I walked into the kitchen and found her wiping down the counters. She had already taken out the trash. The dishwasher was running. She moved like a helpful roommate. Morning, she said, quieter than usual. Morning, I replied, grabbing coffee. She nodded at the living room. You had people over. I did. A pause. Emma seems nice. She is, I said, not taking the bait. Lauren wiped the same spot twice. Ryan's sister, right? Yeah. She leaned her hip against the counter. So, are you seeing her? I let out a short laugh. That's your takeaway? Not my husband hosted friends, and I acted like a cop. Her eyes tightened. I'm asking a question, and I'm answering it, I said. No. Lauren watched me like she wanted relief, but didn't want to show it. Okay. I sipped coffee. You want to know why last night felt easy? She blinked. What? Because nobody was trying to win the room, I said. Emma listens. Ryan jokes. Taras direct. No one's keeping score. No one's rewriting the rules mid-play. Lauren's face hardened slightly. So you're saying I don't listen? I'm saying I don't feel respected lately, I replied. And I don't beg for respect. She set the cloth down carefully. I've been stressed. I nodded once. I'm sure. Work has been. I'm not doing the list. I cut in, still calm. If you want to talk like a partner, do it. If you want to treat me like a burden, I'll act accordingly. She swallowed and softened her tone. I'm trying. There it was. The mid-turn. The gentle version. Helpful hands, quieter voice, a little concern. Not bad acting, just strategic timing. I didn't punish her for it. I also didn't buy it like a clearance deal. Good, I said. Try consistently. I went to the garage and started reorganizing my workbench. Not to avoid her, to make a statement without speeches. My focus was moving back to my own life. 3 days later, she tried the second soft reset, the bigger one. I was getting ready for a jazz night downtown. Not a club with neon nonsense. A small venue with decent music and adult energy. I'd started going again because I liked it and because it reminded me I wasn't dead. Lauren appeared in the doorway while I buttoned my shirt. Her voice was light, almost playful. Jazz? Yep, I said. She stepped closer. I'll come with you. I looked at her in the mirror. No. Her smile froze. Excuse me. I'm going alone, I repeated. Lauren's eyes widened. So now I'm not allowed? I turned toward her. This isn't about one night. It's about every night before it. She crossed her arms. That's dramatic. I shook my head. No, dramatic would be me yelling. I'm just done including you by default. Lauren tried a softer face. Mark, I'm here. I'm trying to reconnect. Then reconnect without demanding entry, I replied. You don't get to treat me like an obligation and then show up when you feel like it and call it us. Her voice sharpened. You're doing this to teach me a lesson. I'm doing this because I finally learned one, I said, grabbing my keys. I'll be back later. I walked out while she stood there, stunned that I could leave without a fight. When I got home, it was late. The house lights were on. Lauren was at the kitchen table with a glass of water, sitting like she'd been rehearsing. I set my keys down. You waiting up? She didn't smile. You didn't text. I poured myself water. I didn't. Her voice climbed. Where were you really? At jazz, I said. With music. With air. With a break from interrogations. She leaned forward. Who was there? I tilted my head. You want names? I want the truth. You've had the truth, I said. You just don't like what it means when I'm not chasing you. Lauren's mouth tightened. So you're going to punish me forever. I'm not punishing you, I replied. I'm stepping out of the role you pushed me into. She laughed sharp. Oh, please. You're acting like I'm some monster. I didn't say that, I said. I said you've been cold, dismissive, and comfortable treating me like I'm optional. Lauren's eyes flashed. Maybe I needed to see if you even cared. You stay out here. That's not a marriage strategy. That's a test. She spread her hands. So what? I'm supposed to just settle into this boring routine and pretend I'm happy. Then leave, I said simply. But don't stay and take shots at me for entertainment. Lauren's voice dropped, dangerous and almost bored. Maybe I should do something that actually makes you feel something. Since you're so calm. There it was. The provocation in plain clothes. Not about fixing anything. About getting a reaction. About control. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't threaten. I just spoke like a man stating a policy. I'm not going to bleed every day so you can confirm I'm alive, I said. If you need chaos to feel powerful, you're in the wrong house. Lauren stared at me like she'd finally found the wall she couldn't push through. For 3 days after that, she went silent. Not normal quiet. Punishment quiet. The kind where plates clink a little louder, doors close a little sharper, and your name disappears from the air. I didn't chase it. I went to work. I hit the gym. I cooked for myself. I slept in the guest room without announcing it. On the third morning, I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table. Lauren walked in, sat across from me, and folded her hands like she was about to read a statement. We need to talk, she said. I didn't move. Go ahead. She swallowed, then delivered it with a tone that assumed it was a weapon. I think we should stop pretending. I want a divorce. She watched my face like she expected panic, like she expected bargaining, like she expected me to scramble to restore the old balance where she could treat me however she wanted and I'd still hold the structure. I took a sip of coffee. Okay. Her eyebrows jumped. Okay. I nodded. You're probably right. Lauren blinked hard. That's it? You're not going to fight for your marriage. I did, I replied. For months. Alone. Her voice rose. So, you're just going to let me go? I leaned back slightly. I'm not letting you do anything. You're making a choice. I'm just not begging you to reverse it. Lauren's face tightened. You're doing this because of that stupid picture. I smiled once. No, that picture was just the moment you realized you can't send me to the waiting room anymore. She shook her head fast. You're trying to punish me for having a life. I want you to have a life, I said. I just won't be your safety net while you treat me like an obstacle. Lauren's voice turned icy. So you're fine with throwing everything away. I met her eyes. You've been throwing it away in small pieces for a while. I'm just done picking it up. Her breathing changed. She looked scared for the first time, not because she loved me, but because her lever didn't work. The threat was supposed to fold me. Instead, it landed on a man who already stood up. She tried another angle, softer, almost sweet. Mark, we can work on this. We can reset. I was stressed. I raised a hand slightly. No more resets that start after you lose control. Her lips parted like she wanted to argue. Then she stopped. Because there wasn't an argument that would make me unsee the pattern. That day, I moved like a man making adult decisions. I didn't scream. I didn't trash the house. I didn't call friends to rally a team. I separated what needed separating. I moved my important documents to a safe place. I redirected my paycheck to my own account. I set clear rules for the house. Separate bedrooms, separate schedules, no pretending in front of friends, no sudden we're fine performances. I told Ryan the truth in one sentence, not a novel. She used divorce like a threat, I told him. I agreed. Ryan was quiet for a moment, then said, about time. Tara texted later, proud of you. Keep it clean. Emma sent one message. Don't explain yourself to people who benefit from your silence. Lauren tried twice to pull me back into old habits. Once she cooked dinner like it was some holiday. Set the table. Lia condole. The whole thing. I walked in, looked at it, and said don't. She held the spoon midair. What? We're not playing normal to avoid consequences, I said. Pack it up. Her eyes flashed. So you're just going to be cold now. I shrugged. I'm going to be consistent. Another time, she tried affection. Not real intimacy, just proximity. She stood too close in the hallway, touched my arm like we were back to being cute. I stepped away, gentle but firm. Don't touch me like that. She stared like I'd slapped her. I'm not punishing you, I added. I'm protecting myself from confusion. A week later, I moved out to a rental on the other side of town. Not because I was running, because I refused to sleep under the same roof with someone who treats commitment like a game of leverage. The friends' circle shifted fast. People don't like uncertainty, and Lauren had been preparing her story. I could tell. The subtle hints, the little public jokes about me being intense, the way she positioned herself as the brave one finding herself. But the problem with preparing a story is that reality still exists. Mia called me one afternoon. Mark, I need to ask you something. Sure, I said. Lauren told people I kicked her out of the party. Mia said, voice tight, that I embarrassed her. I let out a quiet laugh. I didn't kick anyone out of anything. I figured, Mia replied, because I was there. And also, she told me I made it girls only. I paused. Yeah, about that. Mia excited. I'm sorry. That's not okay. No, I said. It's not. By the time summer hit, the whole Mark is the problem storyline had holes big enough to drive my truck through. Not because I campaigned, because I stayed calm and consistent, and people noticed who was always changing the rules. The last time I saw Lauren in the old house, I was picking up a box I'd left behind. She stood in the doorway like she wanted to look in control, but her eyes were tired. You're really doing this, she said. I lifted the box. You asked for it. She scoffed, weak. You think you're going to be happier? I looked at her, steady. I already am, because my life isn't a test anymore. She tried to smirk. It didn't land. Good luck, Mark. I nodded once. You too. Then I left. Not with a slam. With a close. Now, I live in a clean place with quiet mornings and no tension in the air. I drive the same truck, but it feels like mine again. My work's solid. My weekends aren't controlled by someone else's mood. I kept the friends who value truth over theater. Ryan and Tara come by. We grill. We laugh. Emma still texts occasionally, mostly sarcastic comments about Denver weather and how grown adults still can't merge lanes. And yeah, I met someone. Her name's Dana. She's straightforward, calm, and she doesn't treat basic respect like a favor. We take it slow. No drama. No games. The kind of peace that feels almost suspicious when you've been living in tension. As for Lauren, I don't track her life. I just hear echoes. Smaller apartment. New friend group that rotates fast. A lot of fresh starts. Less comfort, less control, less audience. Turns out it's hard to keep a throne when you keep kicking the floor out from under it. Here's what I learned, and it's the part one want men to actually take with them. First, the first real red flag isn't the big argument. It's the casual disrespect delivered like it's normal. Lauren didn't start with I want a divorce. She started with last-minute rule changes, cold texts, and that line about me being an obligation. The moment your partner talks like you're a burden, you don't fix it with extra effort. You fix it with standards. Second, don't negotiate your dignity with conversations that go nowhere. I offer plans once. I offered a reset once. After that, I switched to actions. I showed up at Mia's house to verify reality. I hosted friends in my own home. I stopped waiting. I stopped asking permission to exist. That's not cruelty. That's self-respect with a spine. Third, watch what happens when you remove free access. The soft moments after my boundaries weren't real change. There were tactics, cleaning the kitchen, offering jazz, cooking dinner with a candle like a movie scene. Real change is consistent behavior, not sudden sweetness when control is slipping. And the biggest mistake would have been the classic one. Panicking when she said divorce, bargaining, promising more, buying time, handing her the steering wheel again. That word was meant to pull me back into my old role. The second I said, okay, her power dropped. Because control only works when you agree to play the part. Comfort is nice. Routine is nice. But respect is the actual foundation. When it's gone, your job isn't to perform harder. Your job is to act like a man who knows his value and build a life where nobody gets to treat you like you're optional.